Hello everybody, and welcome back to Occult Perspectives. So on this video, I've already done Ocarina of Time, Zelda, Explain Part 1 and Part 2. So this is going to be Part 3, and I'm also going to get into a little bit of explanation on the occult symbolism in Majora's Mask too. Let me go ahead and see real quick if I can find it. There's a guy who does some really cool stuff on the symbolism. Do I have it in my history? Nope. Oh, wait a minute. Let's find it. Okay, it's Majora's Mask and the Art of Dark Symbolism. Hopefully you can see that up there on the screen. For now, this is about as close to the TV as I can get. I don't have everything set up in here yet quite the way I want to, but we are slowly working on it as we find more and more time in between work and other activities and stuff. Alrighty, so let's go back. Did it not say? Okay, there we go. Go back to the video we were. I have to refine my spot though. So at the end of the last video, Ocarina of Time, Zelda Explained Part 2, we were talking about, I believe, Daruna dancing when he gets so excited when you play Sarah's song, and how dancing and feeling free, you know, just it really can liberate the soul. You know, if something's bothering you, just dance it out. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. And then Link goes and retrieves the spiritual stone of fire because that's his test. From the Gorons. Let's see, once we find this spot here. And I was thinking there was only going to be, you know, one or two more videos to cover the Zelda occult stuff, but that's going to take a while. So I'm just going to go through every little thing, you know, and see what little tidbits of good stuff we can get. So this is the part, if you can see it now, when Daruna is dancing and everything. Okay. Yahoo! And when Link, this is the cutscene after he goes and defeats King Dodongo, Daruna comes down and he basically asks Link, he talks about sworn brothers. You'll see here. Thanks to you, we can once again eat the delicious rocks from the Dodongo's cavern until our stomachs burst. What a wild adventure. It will make an incredible story. I can't believe that the Dodongo suddenly appeared in such great numbers. And that big rock blocking the cave, all this trouble must have been caused by that Gerudo thief Ganondorf. Let's see if I can go through a little bit of this. Here we go. Maybe he says it here. You don't know what he means by sworn brothers. He must have said it there at the end. Okay. No, there's no big ceremony involved. Just take this as a token of our friendship. And he's talking about, we are going to become sworn brothers. And that should have some significance to many of you, that little phrase. So this is the spiritual stone of fire that you end up, you know, it shows you it right here. The green stone, the one of the forest, was emerald. This is ruby. So this is Goron's ruby. And then there's Zora's sapphire. Turn this down just a little bit. Doesn't really need to be that loud. Link proved his manhood, you know, instead of just like complaining about, you know, Ganondorf demanded the spiritual stone from Daruna, and Link's like, no, you know, I'm going to go and save the people, and I'm actually going to go and collect the spiritual stone of fire and prove, you know, that I'm worthy to receive it. He's humbled, and this strengthens, Link always remains pretty humbled, and this strengthens him through his experience of the story of The Legend of Zelda. Just as in most, you know, most good stories and stuff, the hero or the main character, the protagonist, you know, has to show some level of humility or competence, a combination of the two, really. You know, they need to be on top of things, but they also need to know when to yield and when to relax. It's that balance, you know, of the left and the right hand brain. This is the Great Fairy, and she always ends up giving Link, you know, like some magical powers and stuff. Yeah, here I wrote, you know, Ganondorf had demanded entry, whereas Link proved himself. You, on the other hand, risked your life for us, Darina says. No, there's no big ceremony involved, as I said before, with the Sworn Brothers. So let's move on to this. Oh, the Great Fairy. I've got some other note written here real quick, though. Oh, in case I forget to mention it later on, this is later on in the game. I'm jumping ahead now. So if you don't understand, just keep watching the videos and you will. But when you end up moving the blue stones that are they're the Song of Time stones in the future temples, think about the significance of that. You know, it's a cube, and it's interesting that you move this cube, you know, it just like interdimensionally warps from one direction to another when you play this music. So it's, think of the esoteric, you know, really the occult effect of music, you know, how the vibratory nature of things can really, you know, change and help manifest new things in the reality. Just an interesting side note for later, basically, that I wanted to point out. What else do I have on here? The Song of Time, you know, that's heavily instrumental, and we'll talk about that in a bit. And when you're in the Forest Temple, in case I forget to mention this later on, you have the Poes when you go in, and you have to battle each Poe, and these are the 4 elements. And you see the elements, especially in the Zelda, the Legend of Zelda, the Ocarina of Time, the elements pop up again and again, you know, fire, water, earth, air, and spirit, you know, or also the 7th chakra, symbolized by Zelda, which we'll get into in a bit. If I have not mentioned it in the prior 2 videos already, a lot of this information I might, you know, I might repeat it once or twice or maybe even multiple times, because I started some new notes and I'm not sure what exactly in the moving process what I had from the previous notes. So these great fairies now in this scene, they transfer knowledge. There's courage and Din's fire, and I think it's this is which power do you get here? This is the sword spinning, but you have like Faror's, I think it's Faror's wisdom, it's Din's fire, and then Nehru's love, I think, are the 3, but each is a gift from the 3 goddesses, but these great fairies, they end up giving them to you. This is what he's getting here on top of Death Mountain. That's just the sword spin attack. And they essentially, you know, buy this like Din's fire that you get like in Hyrule Courtyard and stuff. That's where you end up finding Din's fire in the game, but it's the power of the gods. These great fairies are essentially giving you this power for Link to yield. Okay, and that's pretty much all I had written for this. It's interesting with the symbolism of with Jabu Jabu that Link is going into the belly of the beast. I think there's some symbolism there, and of course Jabu Jabu was corrupted or cursed by Ganondorf, and Link has to fix this curse, very similar to what he had to do with the Great Deku Tree. Let's continue here. Yep, Jabu Jabu we all know. I'm assuming most of you have probably played this game before that are watching this video, so this is a point of the game where we're at in the video. Jabu Jabu now, we've gotten up to there. And at this point, this is after Link defeats the boss in Jabu Jabu. He goes into the beast, and he's very chivalric with Ruto, you know, Princess Ruto. You know, Link's always a gentleman. I mean, we already know this about Link. You know, that's why he's given the Triforce of Courage by the gods. He's a knight, you know, it's that knight symbolism, you know, the upright man that truly protects, you know, the benevolent men that truly want to protect women, you know. We need to start displaying more of those sacred masculine aspects in our lives and protect our women, you know, and keep them safe and love them genuinely. You know, this is very important. It always has been important, but in the coming Aeon, this is what we seek to do. This is what we're doing. We're doing it right this time, gentlemen. Noble love. And noble love versus like carnal love, we talked about that in previous Dante videos as well, and we'll get more into that as we go back into Dante, because I still want to cover Dante. I want to cover the rest of this. I want to cover some more fundamental Kabbalah in the modern magic, and I would like to eventually go over more magical practices past the middle pillar, which is where I'm at in my own personal practices. So I'd like to get to all those things eventually, but it's just going to take time. You know, we're in no rush. This is the journey of life. So I'm really just learning to enjoy the flow of things while we're here. There's the sapphire stone. Looks like I'm holding it, maybe. Hopefully there's no copyright stuff that goes on with this video. But anyway, and she refers to this as the Zora's engagement ring, which is kind of a funny note. Ruto does. Jabu Jabu, as we said before, was corrupted by Ganondorf, just like the Deku Tree, but he doesn't die, whereas the Great Deku Tree did die. But I think Jabu Jabu dies after Ganondorf takes over the world. I don't remember if they showed Jabu Jabu in the end credits, but he's not in Zora's domain because it's all frozen and stuff when you're an adult, after you pull the sword and stuff, which we're getting into now. This cutscene went ahead and jumped to where Link is now returning with the 3 spiritual stones to the Temple of Time, which is in Hyrule Castle. And as he's seeing, you know, Zelda and Impa, is that her name, are fleeing. And there's always a protector of these families, you know, like Thoth was always like the guardian to the royal family in Egypt and stuff. You know, he's always the one behind the scenes, and that's kind of how Impa serves Zelda. She's always, you know, working from the shadows, but she's, you know, benevolently an agent for the royal family. And there's always a protector of these royal families, much like Thoth with the Egyptian kings. That was the exact note I put in my book, my little notebook here, taking notes on. Ganondorf is so much a sorcerer as, and you can look this up if you want to watch, you know, just the cutscenes on YouTube, and that's why I hope I don't get any copyright stuff. It's just straight from the Legend of Zelda game. You can look it up yourself. But Ganondorf, he's definitely a sorcerer. Like, he shoots these, as you're about to see here in a minute. Maybe I'll go ahead and skip ahead. And he's talking about, you know, how he's gonna like take over the world and all that stuff in this scene. Here he goes. He's about to like shoot his laser beam out and stuff, and yeah, he's definitely like dark sorcerer, like evil king. Says he will soon rule the world. Okay. Let's just go ahead and just let this play, I guess, since we're so close to what I'm going to cover in the next note. Skip forward just a second. Link kind of stands there in bewilderment. Link goes into the little creek, or the moat, I guess, that's around the castle. He dives down and he touches the Ocarina of Time. You know, he picks it up. And when he touches the Ocarina, as you see here in this cutscene, he gets telepathy or stored memories from Zelda. She says, "I won't be around anymore. I'm here to teach you this song, essentially, that will help you open the door of time." She couldn't delay, left the Ocarina and melody to open the door of time. And then you have to go and, of course, play the melody in front of the altar in the Temple of Time in order to open the door of time. We all know what that song sounds like. As we mentioned before, it helps you move stones later on in the game too. Play it in front of the altar, you know, of course. So we move here. We're going to move forward a little bit here. Okay, this is Link actually playing the Song of Time in front of the Altar of Time. And it's cool because the 3 elements, you know, the 3 primary elements, I guess they would be earth, fire, and water. Yep, there they are. And then this is very Egyptian, you know, symbolism going on here. The Door of Time has the sun. Actually, I don't know if you can see it in the picture of the video, but there the Triforce is like lighting up and stuff. And then, yeah, there's the sun that was on the Door of Time itself. So there's a lot of cool, lots of different cool symbolism going on in this game, like constantly, and particularly in the Temple of Time, because that's a very, like, it would almost make me think of a lodge, you know, or a temple or something like that, of mystical proportions, of course, in this game, because here, as we see now, is the Master's Sword and the pedestal. Let's see. And a lot of somebody mentioned in and I can't remember who did the video. I found another really cool Zelda symbolism videos by some guy. It shouldn't be too hard to find. I subscribe to him. If you want to know what it is, let me know. But he was talking about some of the symbolism in the Ocarina of Time. And he was talking about this King Arthur connection. So look into that. You know, like the Master Sword being pulled from the pedestal. It's very akin to King Arthur. And I need to study more King Arthur history, really. I need to study that lore and stuff more. And even in the Liber 420 book that I'm reading, Cannabis, Magical Herbs and the Occult, that's a really good book. And they talk about a lot of Holy Grail connections with cannabis and stuff, and an ancient, not sure if it would be considered ancient history, but definitely like more like prior, really medieval times, I guess, is when it would be associated, of course, like around the time of King Arthur's history and all that stuff. Like I said, I don't know dates and stuff that well, but it just, the lore is so intense and interesting. And I forgot to mention earlier, let me go ahead and pause this real quick because I'm going to need to. The keys, they're always mentioned too as the keys of the Door of Time, and there's a part in Dante, particularly Paradiso, I think, where it talks extensively in the notes about the keys to the Door of Time. Do they equate to the keys of St. Peter? And you hear this, because the keys of St. Peter, there's symbolism in that too, and we'll go over that in the Dante series as well. More than just like a physical set of keys, you know, that symbol, it means a lot more than just that. Link, so as soon as Link opened the Door of Time, he was sealed away for 7 years. And he was the link that was, of course, holding the world together. And when he gets sealed away, you know, Ganondorf's able to take over the world and everything becomes evil, blah, blah, blah. Led Ganondorf to the gates of the Sacred Realm. Further symbolism here, very interesting. Not sure exactly what I was referring to here. The gates of the Sacred Realm? Probably because it's similar to like the gates of heaven. You know, and St. Peter's supposed to be at, I think he's the one that stands at the gate of heavens, symbolically, if you read Dante's Paradiso. So that's really another interesting note. Okay, let's get going here. A lot of the dialogue in this part is just pretty interesting because this is Rauru. I think that's how you say his name. He's actually technically the owl too, or Kapora Gabora. Yes, he's one of the ancient sages. Ages ago, the ancient sages built the Temple of Time to protect the entrance to the Sacred Realm. This is the Chamber of Sages inside the Temple of Light. The Temple of Light, situated in the very center of the Sacred Realm, is the last stronghold against Ganondorf's evil forces. Okay, so let's slow down because he's saying a lot here. And like when I was a little kid, you know, I was just so excited at this point of the game that I just skipped forward and I just kept hitting the A button. You know, we would just sit there and tap the A button like as many times as we felt like 100 times or whatever. But okay. We ancient sages built the Temple of Time to protect the entrance to the Sacred Realm. This is the Chamber of Sages that they're in right now. So that whole scene that you're watching is inside the Chamber of it's the Chamber of Sages, which is inside the Chamber the Chamber of Sages, which is inside the Temple of Light. So you were really only seeing a very small section or portion of the Sacred Realm. And then I wrote, of course, here, just pull up the computer and go over it, which I did for this video, so we'll continue to go over the rest of this part. We'll probably go ahead and just finish what Rauru has to say, and then I may end up ending this video. As much as I would like to do more YouTube videos, it's just really with my work schedule, it's hard to set aside the time, the extra time, you know, on top of my normal, you know, relaxing time and me time to set aside for these videos. I really wish I could, you know, just keep subscribing. I think we've reached like 93 subscribers now or something. Just keep spreading the word, spreading the light and the love and the knowledge, and maybe we can all just be radiant, sovereign, intelligent beings, you know, on this planet, just sharing information one day, like openly and freely, and accepting and not only appreciating but recognizing the sovereign independence of all individuals, and that we can adore and love each other, you know, no matter what our stations are in life. It's that unconditional love, or that agape love for mankind, that we really need to learn. As I'm always promoting that, we all have our personal, closer relationships, but as a whole, as humanity, we really need to just set aside our egos, and just we'll realize, it's really not that hard if we don't cling on to certain things. And I think the world's kind of coming to that understanding very quickly. But moving on, a few other key points here. The Master Sword is the key. It's the evil destroying sword. Maybe this is a reference to the keystone. It's the sacred blade which evil ones may never touch. Let's continue going. That's what he's talking about here. The evil destroying sword that you pulled out of the pedestal of time was the final key. Sorry. Don't be alarmed. Look at yourself. Look, Link, how young you are now. Or how old you are, I guess. Because he was 10 years old and now he's 17 years old. Because he was sealed away for 7 years in the sacred realm. And there's lots of symbolism with the number 7. There's 7 chakras, there's 7 primary notes in the musical scale, 7 colors of the rainbow. This goes on and on and on. The 7 liberal arts and sciences, continues onwards. His spirit was sealed there for 7 years, that says. Let's see if I missed anything right there, because I know there's just so much stuff that's said that's really interesting, that's quick. It's like a waterfall looking thing. The evil ones may never touch the sacred blade. We already went over that. Only somebody who's worthy of the title of the chosen one can pull it from the pedestal. He was too young at the time, so his spirit got sealed there for 7 years, essentially. And then Rauru ends up giving Link the light medallion, as you'll see here in a second. Though you open the door of time in the name of peace, Ganondorf, the Gerudo King of Thieves, used it to enter this forbidden sacred realm. Keep the profane out, he says. He obtained the Triforce from the Temple of Light. Oh, let me rewind that real quick. It looked slightly interesting. He obtained the Triforce from the Temple of Light, and with its power, he became the King of Evil. Of course, sounds like it's that typical rebel. Like Lucifer's the one who tried to take the power from God, or be greater than God, and it's Ganondorf just really wants to corrupt and take over this land. It's not exactly the same story, but it's kind of that general premise, of this dark overlord archetype. And there's so many different aspects and degrees of darkness, and what the devil really means, and how it's archetypes and aspects within our own selves, and how we come to, it takes a long time to reconcile these different aspects of our psyche and our divine masculine and feminine brains. We all know about that. We could go into even deeper explanations and talks about that, but not right now. Let's continue and wrap this video up. The evil power radiated from the temples of Hyrule in 7 short years. Let's go ahead and read that real quick. That's an awakening that Link has, he mentions here. His evil power radiated from the temples of Hyrule, and in 7 short years it transformed Hyrule into a world of monsters. So it radiated from the 5 temples. My power now has only little influence even in the sacred realm, he says, especially in the Chamber of Sages, but there is still hope. The power of the sages does remain, and when the power of all the sages is awakened, he's referring to this awakening, the sages' seals will contain all the evil power in the void of the realm. And there are 6 sages, but as we learn later on in the story, Zelda is the 7th chakra, or the 7th sage, the one that really ties the whole thing together, and she would represent Kether. This whole section right here with Rauru, it's a very spiritual, a lot of spirituality stuff, kind of esoteric. It's all happening really quick, so I just wanted to break it down and slow it down real quick. And this awakening process that Raru's talking about, it kind of like, even though Link was sealed away technically, and now he's being like brought to life. Oh, that sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it, from previous videos we talked about and stuff. It's equated to initiations, which mature the soul in many years. You know, shamanistic practices, people who do like peyote or ayahuasca, or sometimes, you know, it's like living many years, you know, in a short span of time. They say it's like you gain and you gather all this knowledge of different lifetimes and stuff. And I think that's what's cool about, you know, connecting to nature and such. There's so much to learn, you know, from these various practices, you know, different mystical traditions. There's so much information to learn, so much to be studied. So this, you know, this maturing of the soul, so to speak, you know, in one lifetime. This whole section is very spiritual, as I said before. And Rauru ends up giving him the light medallion, and he adds his power to yours. Okay. And then let's go ahead and finish up the scene here, and then we'll be done with the video. Your power to fight together with the sages makes you the hero of time, chosen by the Master Sword. Keep my spirit with you and find the power of the other sages and add their might to your own. And here's the light medallion. And I'll try to, if you look really close, okay, I got it like almost perfectly, at the symbolism on the different medallions. You know, this one, the fire medallion, that reminds me of the rebel symbol from Star Wars. So I'm not really sure. It looks like fire, like a flame. I wonder if there's something to that. The forest one's really just like four spirals. You know, looks almost like a, I don't know. It's kind of like a Beyblade. It's like a swastika that doesn't have straight lines, but I think it goes in the opposite direction. Because we know that the ancient meaning of that symbol is actually a benevolent meaning. It was Hitler that took a benevolent symbol and then, you know, he profaned it. This over here, I'm not sure, it's just a six-petaled flower. You know, that probably has something to do with like chakra system or something. I don't know how well you can see that. There we go. This reminds me of, it's hard to, there we go. Do the screen and the TV at the same time. This looks like almost like, not only the yin and yang, or the Taoism, but like the Cancer zodiac sign. Kind of reminds me of that a bit. And that's like for the desert medallion, the spirit medallion. So water, fire up there. The forest one we already talked about. Rauru's you can't really see because he's standing on it, but we're about to see it here in a second anyway. And then the last one is, that's the, not the spirit temple, but the shadow temple. And I'm guessing that that's an upright triangle. I don't know if it's supposed to be depicted the other way around or not. Maybe it's supposed to be upside down, but it's got 3 dots around it. So it's either fire or water with 3 circles around it. And then there's a circle circumscribing those 4 shapes. And then all these medallions have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. So that'd be what? Hexagon? Am I saying that right? Hex. You know, spells, hexagon. So anyway, Link is receiving this medallion. And we'll check out the symbolism on it real quick, and then I gotta wrap up this video, guys. Let's see. Dun, da, 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 da. So this one's like 3 lines, as you can see, with the 3 circles. 1 circle in between each line. Oh. And then he adds his power to yours. And they always have a little note here. Find the other sages and save Hyrule, of course. Of course, Rauru, I will do that. Like I do every time I beat this game, because I've beaten it so many times at this point that it's just like... Alrighty. And then we will end it there. Link ends up coming back to the Temple of Time and talking to Sheik real quick. So, alrighty guys, thank you for continuing to watch the videos. If you like what I do on here, make sure you subscribe. Give me a like button. And hit the little bell icon if you want to be notified of when new videos pop up. So take care, everybody. Peace and love. Take care.